Welcome to the Paddle Like a Girl podcast. Today we have Emily Gillespie joining us from Emily Who Explores on Instagram, if you don't already follow her. But she is an entrepreneur, an outdoor enthusiast, a content creator, and I would say a marketing genius who I've had the pleasure of working with for over a year.
Yeah.
And now I feel confident calling you my friend, I would say. So welcome and thank you for coming on this new podcast.
Yeah. I'm excited to be here and to be one of the first. So thank you.
Yes, very, very exciting. First and foremost, why don't we talk about what you do, like what your business is?
Yeah. So I'm a content marketer and aspiring creator, but I work with outdoor and travel businesses and brands and creators. I work with them on their marketing efforts. So whether it's building a plan for social media, creating some short form content, or growing a newsletter list, email list, blog post, I bring a fresh perspective that speaks to their audience. So like with you, I work with my clients to make their marketing just look and feel so damn good.
It's true. I feel so much more confidence after just having a meeting with you. I meet with you once a month.
Yep.
And every time we meet afterwards, I just feel so like ready to work. I feel inspired every time.
Oh, good.
So it's so good. And so how did you get started?
So, funny enough, back in 2016, I actually started an e commerce business. It was building gift boxes that contained all local products from Sudbury and the area. I'm originally from Sudbury, and it was called Sudbury in a Box. I forget where I saw this. I think somewhere out west was doing this concept, and I just instantly wanted to do it. So I started working with small businesses in the Sudbury area, curating different gift boxes. It went really well in terms of like consumers purchasing it, but then I started working with like on a business level, and a lot of businesses were buying them for gifts for their clients. So it was always busy around the holidays. So I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and to be honest, I completely got tired of physically building the boxes and putting things
Mhm.
together. And I really loved the marketing. It's what I went to school for. So I kind of said goodbye to the gift boxes and just started side hustling, freelance content marketing, digital strategy for small businesses. And now I get to do it full time.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
cool. I did not know. I hadn't heard about this gift box. That's a really cool idea. So
Thanks.
you've always kind of worked with small, fairly local businesses because now you're still working with small businesses.
Yes.
Obviously, it's a wider range as far as proximity, but
Yeah.
you're helping small businesses still. So that's super cool. It's cool that you kind of came to this through, a different avenue, but clearly you have a knack for it, I would say.
I do like it. So yes, thank you.
Good, good. Well, you're good at it too. So the gift box business was full time for three
It was
years?
it was part-time. So
Okay.
I was always working a 9 to 5. Always wanted to do like freelance something. I remember telling my mom in high school that I didn't want to go to college and I just wanted to be a full-time blogger who traveled. And she said, no, I have to go to college at least. So I did my 3 years and now I have that. But it's just funny how it's like a full circle or how it actually came to be. So
Totally. So you went to school for marketing.
yeah.
And so do you think, like, was that beneficial? Like, I know, in today's society, it's like you can kind of create a business in so many different ways. Do you feel like your time in school for marketing really did give you the boost that you needed to be where you are now?
I think so. It gave me like the marketing background is, I mean, the marketing foundations. And I don't think that that ever changes, like understanding your target audience and doing a competitive analysis and all of the strategy part that I like working with my clients on. So it's been a lot of that. But I mean, I went to school when I think Facebook was the only thing maybe that was
Right.
around. Like there was no, their Instagram was just coming out. There was no social media marketing. It was like when we were taking photos of our food and like the small little squares on Instagram. Um, just having an interest in digital marketing and how obviously the market has grown to what it is. And I've essentially self-taught myself or continued my education to learn. And that actually came from simply side hustling and just having a part-time job because I wanted money to fund my travels. So I started Sudbury in a Box back in 2016.
Okay.
And I did that roughly until I think about 2019, took a break from everything. And then it was when COVID happened that I was actually laid off from my full-time job. And
Okay.
I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I went back on my Sudbury in a Box Instagram and I just said to businesses specifically in the Sudbury area, like, if you need help getting your online presence, like, because it was the days of picking up and you couldn't leave your house and there was no shopping and stores were closed. And even back then, like, what, that's almost 5 years ago, which seems so weird that a lot of places didn't have what we do now of like being able to pick up stuff or like you can order online and pick up in the store, right? I think that
Hmm.
went through COVID. But so I helped revamp a lot of websites and a lot of different automations for the small businesses when I was laid off. And then I eventually got a few clients and started just doing that alongside my 9 to 5 when my job came back.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so when did you start this full time?
I started this full time in 2022. Yeah, I think it was about March when I finally got to a point where I was able to make essentially what I was making at my full time job. And so I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this podcast, but I said, fuck it. And I just said, I'm going to do it. Worst case scenario, like I can get a job if this doesn't work out. And so it'll be coming up to 3 years now that it's still working. So I don't have to go get a
Amazing.
job.
Amazing. That's good. Like that's a short period of time between just starting and then like leaping into full time. Like that's pretty impressive. So,
Thank you. And I mean, I I was laid off for a good like 2 years. I worked at Good Life Fitness, so the gyms were always closed. And
mhm.
it was the last thing to open. So I did fortunately have a lot of free time that I wasn't looking for another job. I was waiting for my job to come back. So in the meantime, I just didn't collect EI and I just started, I guess, doing that. Yeah. And then it got to a point where I was just like, okay, I'm making what I'm making at my full time job, but I like this better. There's more risks, but like I said, screw it. I just get another job if it doesn't work. So,
Yeah, no risk, no reward, right? Yeah, so I mean, I feel like maybe you already kind of answered it, but I was going to ask what your biggest obstacle to kind of making that final decision. You kind of mentioned you're like, well, worst comes to worst, I'll just get another job if this doesn't work out. But were there other factors playing into that decision?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a big scary thing for jumping into like self-employment or building a business because there's so many risks, right? Like what if it works? What if people don't want to work with me? What if I'm bad at my job? What if I can't keep up in, generating or bringing in income for myself? So it was a lot of like self-doubt, a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of just the unknown. And I think I'm a very logical person. Like, I'm not just someone to be like, yeah, let's go spontaneously do something. So, even though I worked part time, side hustled for it since 2016, it still took me like 6 or 7 years to make the decision. And I think
Hmm.
what pushed me to the decision was I was so tired of where the world was at in that time of it being so unknown, right? Like I wasn't paid for almost 2 years of my regular job. So it's kind of like it was at that it gave me that push that I needed because I don't think I would have done it otherwise, to be
Right,
honest.
right. So now that you're full time doing this, you said you wanted to be a travel blogger.
Yeah.
Your mom made you go to school, which was beneficial, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now you're pretty much a travel blogger.
Yeah.
So what is your schedule like?
So one thing to be clear, I have a blog. It will be monetized good one day, but yeah. But I mean, essentially, yeah, I get to travel a lot. My schedule. So with my boyfriend Alex, he has a 2 week in, 2 week out schedule. So he goes to work for 2 weeks, works 14 days in a row, 12 hours a day. When he's home, he's actually off for 2 weeks, which is super nice. And between our two schedules, we told ourselves maybe about a year and a half ago that we wanted to be a bit nomadic and we wanted to travel and just not have the responsibilities of a home and that sort of thing. And so we've been able to travel a lot, whether it's like, I mean, through the summers, it's always through Ontario between our camps, cottages, backcountry camping, canoe tripping. Um, but through the winters, we did a lot of travel throughout to Portugal, Spain. So my schedule, in terms of like a broad sort of thing, we we do as much as we can in our period of time, like obviously knowing our budget, but I still have week to week duties and responsibilities for myself and for my clients. So I build out my days, but what's nice is as long as I have my laptop and Wi-Fi, I can work from anywhere. I'm just very clear and transparent with my clients, like you, saying, hey, I'll be working from this week. You know, here's the time difference, or here's what's happening. So that's what my schedule looks like as a whole.
I feel like you being able to do that and you also just being transparent with your clients, I feel like that's a big like draw for me to work with you too, because I'm like, clearly what she's doing is working for her. She has this flexibility and is successful at what she's doing, enough to travel and work. So I just think that kind of almost adds to uh, what you do and like what
Oh,
you can provide to your clients. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it does.
that's,
I've never looked at it that way, but like that's a really big compliment and like definitely a marketing angle for myself as well. But
yeah, I don't know. It's like if I'm teaching people how to canoe, but I'm not canoeing or something, like, you know what I
true.
mean? It's like, here, like, let me help you do what I'm also doing. And so, yeah, anyways, I think it's super cool.
Well, thank you. And
No problem. No problem. So you kind of explained your the trips that you go on with Alex and like, you know, obviously all the other travels that you do, but specifically your camping and your outdoorsy lifestyle. You've kind of taken what you're obviously good at, which is marketing and like content creation, and now you're applying it to your own kind of personal brand, Emily Who Explores. So, when did you make the transition? I don't know if it's necessarily would be called a transition because you're still obviously doing your marketing for the small businesses, but now you're taking what you know and creating your own brand for outdoor influencers, I guess. I don't know if that's what you would call it. When did you start that, and what was your inspiration to do so?
so honestly, it started with working with you. I didn't even really think about putting my hobbies and interests together with my work. Like I have amazing clients being from Sudbury. It's a lot of mining based clients. So, I mean, thankfully, they're great clients. The industry, I don't work in the mining industry, but I'm good at marketing. So, it honestly came from your workshop that I attended 2 years ago. Um, I remember like having a conversation, and I forget where or how we were talking about it, but you were talking about like your Instagram and your overall like website and things that you wanted to do. And I mentioned that I do digital marketing and digital strategy. And so we just kind of had that conversation. But in that conversation, I'm like, Tori could be a client. I'm like, why am I like, I'm like, I need to like get a bit confident and like say something. So then that's when I mentioned, I'm like, oh, I do this. Yeah. And if you ever want to have, you know, a chat about things. And so I kind of just soft pitched myself to you. And I mean, look where we ended up. So I'm super happy. But it gave, I think, working with you, I know working with you and Paddle Like a Girl gave me the confidence to be like, I can also explore more opportunities in the outdoor travel space, right? Like I can build a portfolio. I have all of my previous clients in terms of what I can do for marketing, but this is so much cooler because I actually really like this industry and I like
Totally.
these businesses and brands and different creators in it. So
Cool. It makes it so much easier when you have a passion for it and also can like actually really understand it, it
Yes.
must be hard to do the marketing for maybe a business you don't really understand the ins and outs of, like mining, you know. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to sell these pants because I guess these are the pants you use in mining. I don't know. So like, but you know, so if you know so much about the outdoors, it's like, well, why not do that? So that's perfect. Yeah, I desperately needed help with Paddle Like a Girl. And so it was like perfect. It was the stars aligned, so it was great.
It was meant to
Um,
be. So
yeah, it really was. And so speaking of us, like you working with me for Paddle Like a Girl, how would you explain how our relationship has evolved, maybe from your perspective of things?
I mean, I'm super happy in terms of how our relationship has evolved because like I also consider you a friend. Like, it's really cool that we can chat about so many other things that it's not just like work related. And when it is work related, it's just comfortable. Like it's good. Like we can just I think we've had a pretty good workflow in terms of the execution projects tasks that you want me to take on. We meet on a regular basis, like we communicate on a regular basis. So it's been really fun watching Paddle Like a Girl and you continue to grow to like have these and really take, your mission, your vision, and for me to be able to help you execute it has been really rewarding.
Awesome. Well, you know, I feel like our relationship, like when we first started talking, I had no idea what to expect or really like. It's hard with content creation when you're not like directly. I mean, obviously, Paddle Like a Girl is selling workshops, but I wasn't really having trouble at that time selling out the workshops. What I was struggling with was the content, and also just like offering different things to the audience because we do run workshops and the idea is we teach people how to paddle and camp, and so it's like I should be providing more educational material throughout the year in the off season. I would just like stop posting at the end of my last workshop. I was like ghost for 6 months until it was like, here's our workshops for the summer. So getting you on board, it was like scary for me being a small business and like not making a ton of money from Paddle Like a Girl because it was very much a part-time thing, but I knew my goals were to grow it and expand eventually and offer more. And so I feel like it took us a while. I felt a little bit like I was not intentionally stringing you along a little bit because I was so afraid to like take the plunge and like, okay, we're gonna hire somebody, you know,
Right.
and it was just so scary. But I hope that you weren't too frustrated with me in the beginning when I was like meeting with you and then I would kind of be so unsure. I don't know.
No, I mean, and honestly, that's completely normal for when you choose to outsource because especially if you're growing your own business or your own brand, like that's your baby. Like it's hard to let people in, right? And so I remember having that conversation where I think we started with like a smaller project and then but I was very upfront. I was just like, this is going to be awkward. And so I want you to consider, how you're feeling and like your doubts and your whatever. And I'm not going to take it personally. It's just there has to be a lot of communication to almost get through those awkwardy type moments to really get a
Mhm.
good rhythm. And I think now there's a really good rhythm.
Oh
So
yeah. I just like I feel so I keep saying if I talk to anybody about you, I say like what is the price tag you can put on removing weight from your shoulders? Like I feel
aw.
like it's really hard to explain. Like at first it was kind of like, oh, you know, what should I hand over to you? And now it's just like take the reins.
Yeah.
I'll show up at the workshops and I'll teach them. Like that's literally like if I'll send you the content, whatever. And so it's nice and very stress relieving knowing that I have somebody as capable as you managing all of these things. And also you're very good at keeping me kind of reined in, I would say. Which I need because I'm like, I want to do this, 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 and you're like, all right, well, why don't we start here? Like you're very realistic, and that's because you have the knowledge and the experience. Like let's take it one step at a time because I want to do everything all at once, which is just not realistic. And so, yes, you're a great person to have on my my team,
Oh, thank you.
and I
I'm gonna
appreciate you.
we're gonna clip this clip and I'm just gonna use it as a customer
Please,
review
if you ever need to
testimonial.
send anyone for a testimonial, send them to me because I am like constantly raving about your services. So I
Oh, thank
genuinely
you.
appreciate you. Just in case you don't know yet.
I appreciate that. And we will get to everything on your wish list, but yeah, we just piece by
Yeah,
piece. So
yeah, was I know I'm too like yeah, so I need you in my life. So, one thing that I admire about you is your ability to be very organized
oh
and what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm a procrastinator, so I'm always like last minute I'm like, "Oh shoot, I need to do this." And I'm like panicking and doing it last minute. You are not. You plan ahead. You
yeah.
schedule out your content for like me and yourself and all your other clients. What tools do you use to keep you on track? And maybe what tools would you recommend for people to use who are like maybe getting into content creation?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in my Google Calendar, in Google Workspace. I think that just the capabilities of what you can do in Google Workspace for the price point that you're paying for, like, let's say a premium workspace is so beneficial. Everything links. And now, like, if you install any apps or programs or whatever, like, it's so easy to just log in through Google. So I am not affiliated with Google. Google, if you want to, cool. But like, that's definitely one. The other one is Notion. I've switched over from Asana to Notion. I just think that the technology and the availability in Notion as well makes it super easy, especially for a lot of um, like list content creation, like the content planner, all of that stuff that we have, because it makes it easy to like comment, use, upload photos, videos, that whole bit. And then I also live in my phone notes app. The amount of
Okay.
notes that I have in my phone,
Hmm.
um, I should probably go through and get rid of some. But I think those are my three top ones for organization wise. Content creation, if again, like budget's something that I mean, if you're just starting out, right? Like budget's a big thing. So I would maximize the free Canva and the free CapCut until you need more. And I think those two would be, you can do a lot for content creation specific in that.
Yeah, Canva is so good for
It
like
is.
creating templates and even editing videos. I've edited a few in there. Notion, as you got me onto Notion.
Yeah.
Um, I'm weirdly obsessed with it. I don't use it for a no, I use it a lot, but for my own things. Like I'm trying to get other people into it, but like nobody's really taking the bait.
I know I think Notion's still fairly new where people are just so used to like a Google Docs or a PDF
Hmm.
or like a Canva template. And I think Notion will eventually get there, but there is definitely a learning curve.
For sure. There is big time.
Yeah.
But it's good. Once you've gotten it figured out, it's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as far as your business, do you have goals set for yourself for 2025, or is there anything kind of new in the works for you for this year?
I do. I think for my business overall, I'm really excited to diversify my income streams a little bit. I've always, I have, I think like maybe a dozen digital products and stuff in my drive that are half finished or three quarters finished. And I've just never had the confidence or the guts to sell. So that is one. I remember telling Alex last year, I'm like, I'm going to sell digital products. Never happened. But you just imposter syndrome and all these negative,
It's
unfortunate feelings
scary.
come
It's
in.
scary
It
to put
is
yourself
scary.
out there and like see it,
Yeah,
if nobody buys it, it's so discouraging, but you won't know until you try. So,
exactly. Right. So once you get a no, or once you like, it doesn't even mean that that's a no. It just means that maybe you have to tweak something. So I really want to focus on digital products. I actually just finished, I called it the Adventure Blueprint. My Instagram community helped me pick the name for it.
nice.
But it's essentially like that strategy based stuff that we once upon a time focused on, like who you are, your goals, your target audience, like just really understanding that concrete stuff of what you want in your business or who your business is. Because that never changes, right? Unless you kind of do a rebrand. But so I'm excited to come up with some digital products, specifically around marketing strategies, and content creation. And then I also want to ramp up my own content creation. So I'm an like aspiring creator and I get, a few projects here and there and UGC stuff, but I'd really love to work with brands and businesses on that level as well.
Yeah, you've been really crushing it with the content creation.
Oh, thank you.
Your stuff is very also like educational too, which is good for
Okay,
people
good.
who want to get out and like different routes or different hiking trails and things like that. So, but you've grown your page pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just been in the last honestly like maybe month and a half because I recently did like a screen recording for my digital product that is taking me forever to finish and I was just at over 2,000 followers. So since then I've almost grown another, I don't even know what I'm at. But anyways, it's working. So yay, it's slow organic growth,
Yeah.
but I will take it. So
Yeah. So talking about growth, especially for somebody like me who's always overthinking everything, what would you say is more important for when you're thinking about content creation? Are you looking for, as far as like maybe algorithms go, would you say it's better to have quantity over quality or vice versa?
so I'm going to say quality over quantity. If we're looking from like a I don't want to get overwhelmed, I don't want to be burnt out, I don't want to get into those like negative emotions. I want to just consistently show up and have fun. And this is around what my digital product, I'm still in the works of what this name's going to be, but it's around building an actual sustainable content strategy. So I would definitely say quality, to think of your community and your audience of who you're creating this content for. Like, what do they want to hear? What's valuable? What can spark conversations? A really simple or more simple point to start at is like thinking of like 3 to 5 main topics that you can just talk about forever and just start listing out, different ideas or go into chat GPT and say, I'm a content creator who focuses on outdoor experiences, give me 20 different ideas, and you can build off posts from that. But the point is you want to be consistent and you want to be consistent around the same few things, so you don't like, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would suggest just picking 3 to 5 main pillars, main topics, and just rotating it through. So if you're going to post 4 times a week and you want to consistently, and that's within your schedule, within like, your energy and what you have time for, then rotate through those 4 main topics on a weekly basis and like have fun with the formats. Like don't be so stuck on if you have to create reels and 7-second reels or vlog reels, like try one of each. Don't just
Mhm.
like pigeonhole yourself. That's a word, that's a saying, right? Don't just like, you know this is the only type of format that I do. Like try a
Right.
carousel, post some photos, like have fun
Right.
with it. So
I was going to compare it to like Pickle Barrel. You know how Pickle Barrel has like a gigantic food menu and it's like too many things? And you're like, they can't be good at making all these different types of
yeah,
food. There's
yeah,
like 100 things on there. So it's like if you focus on a few that you're good at and you know know a lot about or
yeah.
whatever it is, it's like you kind of build your expertise around that, then you'll have really good quality content. Maybe that's a silly reference, but that's what I think about.
I get what you're saying. You don't need to people please everyone, and I think unfortunately, because unfortunately but fortunately, like we're also consumers to a lot of these apps, and so we're constantly scrolling, constantly comparing ourselves to this. So if I can recommend, like dial back on your scrolling, you'll probably feel so much better about your day to day sort of thing. Um,
I
but
was gonna
you,
ask you that.
who are
Sorry, I
you?
didn't want to cut you off. I was
No,
gonna
you're
ask.
good.
So I really struggle with, I mean, maybe probably a lot of us do with just like I'll open my phone to check my email and somehow I am in Instagram for like
Yeah.
half an hour. I'm like, how did I get here? How do you keep yourself on track? Because your job is to be on Instagram and social media. How do you stop yourself from doom scrolling?
So this is where I think like a lot of my, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but like my logical, like everything that I do, I have a process in my life, and that's just unfortunately who I am, whatever category that falls under. But I've noticed that when I doom scroll, I actually feel worse about myself after getting off the platform. And like I get anxiety and I get whatever. And it's just, I think it's a lot of this, and this is just my own personal opinion. I think that it's a lot of like subconscious stuff that we don't pay attention to that sneaks up later. And um, like my algorithm right now is filled with these six-figure like coaches telling you how you can make six figures overnight. And it's just, it's draining, and it's just
Hmm.
something that I don't want to hear. So I actually stopped going on the like explore
Okay.
part, and TikTok alone. I like don't like TikTok, but that's just a preference. But I stopped going on the explore because it made me feel bad about myself, and I know that that's my responsibility, my choice. But I just stick to my homepage, and it's people that I follow, people that I admire, people that whatever, and it is a happier place. But I do also limit myself to how much scrolling that I do. And this is recent. Like I'm not saying like, oh, I do this forever. Like I've honestly just started implementing this probably within the last 2 months. And I genuinely do feel better about myself of not doom scrolling.
Good. Good. Yeah, I set myself like limits
Yeah.
and just immediately it's like, you've reached your limit. I'm like, ignore limit for the day. It's it's so bad. But yeah, I need to be more conscious of that. I've been trying to work on like, especially in the evenings when the kids are home, I'm trying really hard to like not be on my phone because it
Yeah.
feels really crappy. I feel, yeah, I just feel really terrible and like, so it's definitely something I'm working
It's
on.
weird when you pay attention to how you feel after, you don't actually feel better
No,
about it.
not at all.
And I think that that platform like Instagram and TikTok does that a lot more, where like if you're going to watch YouTube, like you're intentional of what you're choosing. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like you're going to watch your favorite creators or,
Hmm.
adventurers or businesses or whoever that you are. It's more of like a TV show watching, but Instagram and TikTok scrolling, yeah, just
Well,
not my
and it
favorite.
sucks you in too because like if you do click on something on the explore page, then the algorithm's like, "Oh, she
You
likes
like
this." And so
this?
then everything on the explore page I want to click on because it knows what I'm looking for.
Yes.
And I need to be mindful of that because I'm like, how is everybody else getting this news too? Like, is this all anybody else is looking at? I'm like, no, it's probably just me because I keep clicking on it. So,
And
anyways.
also random, but like if you are going to doom scroll, like doom scroll on like random stuff that doesn't even pertain, like if you're a business owner, if you're a creator, to like help yourself, because this is going to be super random. But when I first went on TikTok, I somehow got into the algorithm of like alligators and alligator facts. And I learned so much about alligators, but it was so random. And I don't know why, but I didn't feel bad about it because I actually know now more about alligators, and
There you
TikTok
go.
just but I'm saying if you do doom scroll, like click on the random things and just see where it
Right.
takes you. Don't engage or click on things that are going to make you feel bad about yourself.
Okay, I feel like we kind of touched on like tips for beginner content creators. What type of gear? Like, let's say somebody has a really small budget right now. They don't want to spend a ton of money, but they can splurge on like one piece of gear to help them in their content creation. What would you recommend be the one thing that they buy?
One thing, okay.
Or a couple. It doesn't need to be limited to one.
Well, because I mean, everyone's smartphone. Look at me. Everyone's like phone takes. I sounded so old there, um, but everyone's phone takes decent quality like video quality, right? So depending on the content that you're creating, like if you're doing any talking or vlogging or whatever, like I would recommend at least like some sort of mini mic, because there's nothing more annoying than someone having bad audio, especially if it's
Hmm.
like they're talking or like I said, they're vlogging doing something. I think I got these ones on Amazon for $40 and they gave me like $5 off. and this is what I'm
Nice.
using. So I think it sounds decent. And then the other thing is a like a ring light or some sort of like natural light. It just I think it helps a lot of videos again depending on what you're doing, but I think that
Hmm.
those two. Oh, and a tripod stand. So there's three.
Okay. And all of those things, Amazon, for
Amazon.
fairly cheap.
Yes. Like I mean, I'm sure you can look into better mics and ring lights and tripods,
Sure.
but I mean if you're just getting started, like you want your camera to be like in a good position so you can take a decent video. You want the audio to be at least good. And if you need help with lighting because maybe your place is dark or you don't have the best lighting, then I think that those three things across the board should help.
All right. Okay. And I did want to talk to you about your recent trip. You just got back from Arizona.
I did. Yes.
So, and I saw that you went on a very big hike.
Yeah, we did two really
Okay.
big hikes. So I laugh because like I'm definitely like I can be adventurous, but I always need a little bit persuading. Like I'm not the greatest getting out of my comfort zone. It takes me a little bit.
Okay.
And Alex, on the other hand, like, we're gonna go do this and we're gonna do that. I'm like, do we know how to get there? Can we do that? Is that something that we can like? Are we gonna be okay? Do we need to do this? And so he fortunately brings out a bit more of my adventurous stuff, and he's the one that he doesn't have any social media presence, so I get to document it. But um, yeah, we fortunately get to go to Arizona on a yearly basis. His parents are snowbirds there for 6 months of the year. So we go visit them, do our Christmas, and the hiking is incredible.
Oh, I
So
bet.
it's just it's so different, right? Like you going
Hmm.
to Utah and you did that trip, like
Hmm.
just the landscape and like the whole vibe of the trip is completely different than what we're used to. So
Totally.
it was really it's just always cool, and I'm just always fascinated by like the saguaros. Like those damn cactuses are hundreds of years old. Like it's insane. And I
It's
remember
so crazy.
seeing my first one that fell down. I'm like, that's what a cactus looks like inside. Like it's just something that is so different for us. So
That's
it's
awesome.
always it's always fun hiking there.
So how many years have you been going down there?
This is my fourth year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. And so do you always do hikes in that area then when you go down or?
So this year we found a really good car rental price on a Jeep Wrangler.
Ooh,
And so we took advantage of that and decided that we were going to go to a little bit more of like the remote, harder to get to, where you need like a high clearance vehicle. So we hiked Browns Peak, which is a part of the Four Peaks, which is, I think, no one quote me on this, please, but it's definitely like one of the highest mountains in Arizona.
okay. Wow.
Yeah. So if I recently posted, but like literally the last part of the hike is just you're essentially like free climbing, which was really scary. So,
Wow.
but and then we went to another hike that again like required us to have that clearance, like high clearance vehicle to get in
Hmm.
because it was a dirt road. So that was different. But for the most part, we've done a lot of hiking between like Phoenix, Mesa, like the Phoenix area, and up to Sedona so far.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
It looks so beautiful. I'd love to check it out one day.
yes. There's a place to stay. So
Well, there you go.
yeah,
Perfect. Okay, just a few last questions here for our outdoorsy folks. What is the favorite canoe trip that you've done?
my
If
favorite.
you could pick one.
If I could pick one, okay. So this is where I thankfully like I'm happy that you sent a few questions because like we've done a lot of most of our tripping in Temagami in Northern Ontario. But with like with Alex's cottage being in Temagami, it's just so much more accessible to leave from that point. And so he grew up going to his cottage in Temagami, so he's always dreamt of like getting into these back lakes that only a canoe can take you to. So we went into Florence Lake last year,
Okay.
and this is where Alex reads the maps, and I know how to read a map, but I forget the, like, what's that called? What lake we went into before, like the route. I forget
Got you.
how the route goes, but I remember
Okay.
the lakes that we went into. Anyways, but we went into Florence, and Florence Lake is absolutely incredible. Like, if you can go, then definitely go. But so we went through that way. We went into Florence Lake. We went down and connected over to like Ames Creek. I think it's what it's called. So
Okay.
where you go through like Scoots Toggen, if you've heard of that. Like,
I don't know.
there's a few YouTubers that have gone through, and it's just a muddy mess
Oh
depending on
gosh.
the year that you go through. But we fortunately, like, we went in July, so the water was still high enough. But anyways, it was um it was definitely a hard route. It was like the interior of Temagami. So
Okay.
yeah, it was a lot of
And
fun
so
though.
that's your favorite.
Yes, it was. It was kind of like one of those trips where I'm just like, I don't care if my boots are wet or how sweaty I
Right.
am or whatever. I was just like going through it, and I just, yeah, I didn't care about anything but just being in that trip. So I think it's my favorite because mentally it was just also enjoyable. So
Yes, it was challenging,
yeah,
but still your favorite. Those are the most rewarding ones, right?
yeah,
So, especially like when you're getting into like a beautiful area that you know it took so much physical work to get into, it just feels so much more like deserved when you get
yes,
there, I guess. Cool. I haven't been into that area in Temagami, so I'll have to add it to the list.
yes, absolutely.
So, because you're so familiar with Temagami, I know you do a lot of tripping in that area. What 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 route would you recommend for beginners in Temagami?
Yes. So I personally love Blueberry Lake.
Okay.
It is in now because of the Ontario parks and having to book and stuff. It's a bit different, but it's still on Crown land. So um, it's a fairly easy paddle. Like, obviously, like, conditions, whatever, if there's wind or that sort of thing, like, that's always going to make it harder. But it's about 12K from like the Snake Island landing, which is on like the opposite side of Lake Temagami,
Okay.
up by like Rabbit Lake, Castles
Okay.
Lake, that area. And it's just one portage into Blueberry Lake. And the nice thing with the portage is, like, you have one of those like landing docks, so it's easy to get in and out on the
Okay.
portage. And the portage is beautiful. There's like a mini waterfall. It's super well maintained, but like enough rugged, like, backcountry feel
Hmm.
as well, right? And then Blueberry Lake itself is, it's gorgeous, and like the campsites, the one that we stayed on towards like the back of the lake, it's probably one of my favorite campsites ever, just in
Oh
terms
wow.
of how it's set up, and you get a really nice like sunset viewpoint, watching point. And then there's three different trails that's in old growth forest, so you can like
Okay.
hike along, red pines that are like 250 years old.
Amazing.
So
Wow.
if I
Such a
sold it.
beautiful area. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah. And do you have like pictures and stuff like that up on your social media of Blueberry Lake?
I did. And
Okay.
we put it on Paddle Like a Girl's blog post as well as a beginner
Oh, I knew that. I
adventure.
know that.
Well,
I
we
read it.
sorry, we are. It says
Just kidding.
it's being.
Okay, okay. I'm like, yeah, I know that. Um, all right. And so, do you have a route in Temagami that you would never do again?
Would never?
Hmm.
I don't think so. I
Well, since your like favorite one was already really challenging, I was like, well, I don't think that she's gonna have one that she would never do again. I thought maybe there was gonna be like a really horrible portage that you were like, I'm never doing it again. But
I think that there's definitely like really hard portages, and I know Temagami is like known for its like hard portages. Um, but I think
oh,
it's
I
all
know a
types.
portage we wouldn't do again.
Oh, yes, yes, that one. Actually, I would. Okay, there. That section. Only that section I wouldn't do
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
because you can just paddle around. It's
Yeah.
like I'd much rather just paddle around.
Yes.
Um, what lakes were those?
Oh,
Can you to give context?
so okay. So this is again like, I know the lakes, but I don't know which lake leads into which lake. But I know that we were in Cross Lake,
Hmm.
and then we went into Cross Bay Lake,
Hmm.
I think. And then no, I should have grabbed the map.
It's hard because it's like Cross Lake, Little
Yeah.
Cross Bay Lake. So it's that section. But
Yeah.
basically from Cross
Like,
Lake, I think you can just paddle into Cross Bay, but you'd have to go south, down, and
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Whereas we tried to take a shortcut, I'm using air quotes here, because we thought we could, the maps show that you can go north into, I want to say it's Little Cross
I think
Bay
so.
Lake or something like that. And then a little portage into Cross Bay, which is on the big lake of Temagami.
Yes.
And we thought, well, just two short portages. And little did we know, because of the low water, it was just a giant bog. And we
Yeah.
had to portage like an extra, 500 meters to get
Yeah.
around.
And the portage
Anyways,
wasn't even like clearly marked. Like
no,
it's clearly not a route that a lot of people do. And I think
no.
I did post about it like in our collaborated post, and there was a few comments being like, I wouldn't even take this like in regular season. So, like
Yeah,
wouldn't even go
because
that
you
way.
can just get around. You can literally
Yeah.
paddle. We're like, I think we were worried about the wind because it was
Well,
pretty windy
it was very windy. It was
our
super
whole
windy.
trip.
Yeah. And I remember because Alex and we did cross lake, but we went, I think it would be south, like the opposite way that we went. And
Hmm.
we paddled around,
Hmm.
and it was really windy when we went. So I just know that
Okay.
like the winds naturally, I don't know, or normally go that way. But yeah, that is definitely an area that that the rest of the route I would do. That area I would never do again.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
it's
I'm
but
with
it's
you.
now funny to go back on, and there's a like you'll get really good YouTube content, hopefully.
Right. Yeah. They always make for good stories to
They
tell, that's for
do.
sure.
They,
It's never when things are going like perfectly wonderful that you get a good story out of it. It's always when it's hard and treacherous, and yeah, which that definitely was. Oh my gosh.
and I remember being on our campsite, and I had like one bar of service, and I was telling Alex which way, because he knows Temagami so well. He studies all those
Right.
maps, knows literally like where every lake is, and there's so many lakes. But I was telling him, and I remember his response being like, "Oh, haha, if that portage exists." I'm like, "What
Oh
portage?"
yeah.
I'm like, "Which one?" And he just never responded. And then then we were not in service.
Didn't
But
have
if
service.
he would have said, if that little Cross Lake Bay portage, whatever one we were on, exists, then we wouldn't have went that way.
I remember it being so ominous. It was just like, we're literally like pulling up to our first portage of the day. And I'm like, what do you mean? What portage? I was thinking that trail that
Yeah,
we were following was going to like fizzle out, which it didn't. So then we're just like, well, clearly that portage existed. And it was the other portage that he was
yeah,
talking about. Oh
yeah.
my
Way to be
gosh.
vague, though, Alex.
Yeah,
Thanks.
right.
So,
Oh my gosh. It was an adventure. We made it.
yes, we
Um, okay. So, and then what would be a piece of advice for people who are looking to get into the outdoors? Like, what resources might you suggest? Or like, you already gave us a nice little beginner route into Mogami, but maybe some other areas to check out.
take a paddle like a girl workshop, 100%.
Oh,
No, but honestly though, if you like your workshops are fantastic, and I'm really excited for the 2025 season, and having Alicia and Darcy, and
me too.
you growing your team in that way. But I think that I know that you've created something great. So for any women identifying like outdoorsy friends that wants to do any sort of workshop, I highly recommend Paddle Like a Girl, because I remember being in that position where, I was like canoe tripping with Alex, and I'm like, I kind of want to do something by myself. I was not ready for a trip. So I took your workshop, and it gives confidence, and it gives you like a
Mhm.
lot more peace, and you get to meet people. So I would definitely, that would be one suggestion. Um, and I think the other is just like take your time and like connect with people who like doing it, like
Mhm.
resources. You don't have to rush into it. Like, to be outdoorsy doesn't mean that you have to go do some extravagant backcountry canoe trip or go hiking for a week around the La Cloche Mountains. Like,
Mhm.
outdoorsy can just literally mean that you want to set up a tent in a park or go for a hike. Like, just start with what you're comfortable. Um, and like just slowly get out of your comfort zone.
Very good advice. I agree. It's a great, great way to start. But yeah, it's overwhelming. Like you see all these, especially with social media, it's like you see all
Yeah.
these outdoorsy people and you're like, oh, I could never be as outdoorsy. And it's like everybody started somewhere, just start small and yeah, just slowly like take one step outside of your comfort zone. That's
And
perfect.
like, do you want to be, you can be however outdoorsy that you want
Yeah.
to. Like, I think there's so many things to do in the outdoors. Like, even just like, even this year, I've gone for like a handful of like, All Trails calls them easy hikes, but I'm like, they're
Hmm.
some of my favorite hikes that took me like maybe an hour, but I got to see some of the coolest things. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Okay. And so now just a few little rapid fire questions
Okay.
to close out our chat. Um, what is, if you have one, what is your dream paddling destination? If you could paddle anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. Oh, I was just thinking like in Canada. um, I mean, I always like, I want to aspire to do bigger trips with like what you and Jim do, and like with, some other YouTubers that do these trips in like the Yukon and like northern Quebec and all those things. I definitely like
Hmm.
would love to do something like that. And I know Alex would already want to do it if I said yes.
Hmm.
Um, but there's definitely some stuff that is closer to home in Northern Ontario that I want to do. There's a few in Kevin Callan's books that I have starred, like the Kirkpatrick Loop, um, the Mississauga River. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. I always get mixed up because there's the Mississauga, the Mississauga, whatever. But whatever one is in
Yeah.
Northern Ontario, that one.
Okay. Okay.
So I think that's my obtainable dream ones, and then my dream ones are those bigger other
Yeah.
ones outside of Ontario.
So just out of my own curiosity, what is, because you guys obviously have this skill level and, gear, but you can always rent gear to do like the Teslin or the Yukon River. Would it
Um,
just be like the distance and the cost of it that's preventing you right now?
I think so because I think in leaving, obviously, like the cost is more just for like travel purposes.
Hmm.
It's definitely something that I do want to do, but in what I said recently of just like step outside your comfort zone, like whatever you get comfortable with, I didn't think that it was necessarily obtainable for
Hmm.
myself, this year or last year. And I'm now that like learning more about the areas and watching people do it like on YouTube or talk about it, I'm like, okay, like I can do this, but I think it's more of a sense of comfort than anything
Hmm.
else.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and then obviously, like, yeah, the travel expense, you have to
Yeah,
take in
for
that it
sure.
costs
It's
more
it's
money.
pricey. It's pricey. But I imagine that you guys will get up there and
Yeah.
do one of those rivers for
Because
sure.
I had the opportunity to join the Teslin River, but I was like, I need to do it with Alex. I want to do it with Alex.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that I think you guys should do together.
mhm.
But I mean, maybe you can go twice. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is your favorite backcountry meal?
Okay. So if I was buying a dehydrated meal, like if I went
Mhm.
to go pick up one in the store, I freaking love the vegetable pad thai by Happy Yak. It like
Oh,
it's rarely in stores, so I order it off of Amazon. But it is so good, and I know that because I took my very picky friend on. We did an overnight in Little Superior in Killarney on like a
okay.
backpacking trip, and that's what we had for our dinner, and she even liked it. So
Oh, well, there you go.
that's one I would recommend. Again, not sponsored, but Happy Yak, hey, if you want to, cool. And then if I'm, we've, I, no, sorry, not we. I've started dehydrating a lot of our food with our like at home dehydrator. Alex does not get any credit for that.
I was gonna say
Um,
I like the like specificity of that, if that's a word. I just made that up, I think, but you know what I mean. You had to go back and correct. You're like, no, actually, not we.
you know
Just
what? Because
me.
there's a lot of things that Alex does that
Hmm.
helps all of our trips, but I'm like, no,
Hmm.
I'm the one that dehydrates everything. So, and I've been really liking it, which is nice. But
Good.
um, it really easy is just like burrito bowls. Like you dehydrate ground beef, rice, black beans, corn, whatever else you want to put in it. And then I
Hmm.
bring an avocado and like you mix it with like taco seasoning. You have the avocado and it's really good.
That sounds
And then so you get
delish.
like a little bit of freshness of the avocado with the dehydrated
Right.
meal. So,
Yeah. It's nice to have a little something fresh out there
mhm.
for sure.
Yeah,
Okay, and last but not least, most controversial for sure.
yeah,
Coffee or tea?
1,000% coffee.
Okay. Coffee in the mornings.
Yes.
Are you a tea in the evening around the
No,
campfire? No.
no.
Okay.
Oh, if it's no, I'm not.
No. Okay.
Maybe a
Just a
hot
hard no.
chocolate,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah. I'm a hot chocolate in the evening too kind of person.
Mhm.
Cool. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. It's very exciting. And I will share, I guess, just where people can kind of find out more about you in the show notes, if that's what they're
Cool.
called.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, they can find you on Instagram, Emily Who Explores. And then I think your website is emilywhoexplores.com.
It is.
But again, I'll add that below. And thanks again. And I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yes. Well, thank you. It was fun.